takes, that's you. 3 takes, not me. 2 takes if you lucky. First take, stop me. 4 takes, that's you. 3 takes, not me. 2 takes if you lucky. First take, you got me.
Hey, everybody. Welcome to another episode of the Cobb and Dash Show. I'm Marcus Dash here with my guy, Ryan Cobb. So, big week. We didn't do a week 1 preview show. Usually we do that, but we thought, no, let's just wait to see how things go week 1. And then we'll come out week 2, do the week 1 recap, and do week 2 preview. A lot of things here, just kind of some takeaways right off the bat. Millie, end of the year, I remember I think it was last 3 of the 4 or 3 of last 4 or 5 high scores. He won those last year. He ended the season really strong and then starts off the season with a bang. I don't know if he can keep that up because I don't know if Tua is going to do that every week. But if Tua's putting up numbers like that, Millie's going to be in contention for a long time. Cobb, what was one takeaway that you have from the week 1 games?
Yeah, I mean, just the low scoring. I've never seen this many people below 95 in this league. So it was pretty rough start to the season. Some people got wins despite not scoring a ton. Others, lost despite having a decent performance. But, that's how it goes. Week 1, shaking off the rust. And, it's just good start to the season, I guess.
Yeah. I think for you personally, I think you wish you would have won. But, you have a bounce back spot this week against the team who was the low scorer last week. Everyone thought his season was over. Aaron Rodgers goes down, and it's boom, it's done. And then our guy Paul, we'll talk about it when we get to the Pancake King rankings and all in the rankings later. But dropping Kirk Cousins for Daniel Jones. I know you're a Daniel Jones fan. I know you're a homer. But come on, man. But I'm not going to shit on Paul. Paul's got a lot going on. He's chasing down his last ex-tenant, ex-fantasy league owner, Barry, has not paid him for the last 45 days. He left. He's not his tenant anymore, but he still owes him a good amount of money, good chunk, and he's chasing him down. So maybe that's why this whole Daniel Jones, Kirk Cousins thing has happened. I don't know, but maybe that definitely contributed to it. What do you think?
Yeah, definitely. I mean, dropping someone once is one thing. Dropping them twice is another. Unfortunate that happened, especially because I'm going against CB this week, and he had Kirk Cousins that he just picked up, plugged in, and got him a 40.
Yeah.
Bummer for me, but, it happens.
Yeah. You're right, because the fact I didn't even realize he dropped him twice. You mentioned it to me when we were texting about it yesterday, but the fact that he dropped him twice and he's got this whole Barry thing looming over him and it's really consuming him, I think that's probably why he's making boneheaded moves in fantasy. It's got to be a thing, right? I mean,
it must be. I mean, he still had a good week, despite being second highest scorer. But yeah,
he won for sure.
I trust Paul will get his. He's always the most active on the waivers, right? He's already had 9 moves this year, which is fantastic to see. I guess Stu's also had 11, but Paul's usually really active on the waivers. I think he got away from him a little bit this in week 1 and dropped a pretty good quarterback to the waivers. And, ZB took advantage. Good seeing that from a new owner.
We did. And actually, since we're talking about that, obviously every week the highest point scorer gets $50. Lowest point scorer has to drink a chug and send the video in. ZB didn't get it in by Thursday, so he did a little extra for us. I mean, everyone saw his video to start the season out, his introductory video. He sent a nice video in. This one's primo. I don't know who's going to top this one because this is gold. But it's a good video. We're going to show right now. ZB's low score chug for week 1. Oh, by the way, $50 goes to Adam. However, I already said on the group today or this week, no one's getting their $50 until everyone's paid. And there's one guy who hasn't paid yet.
Who is it? Name
first letter being, you want to guess? You want to guess who it is? It's pretty easy if you think about it. Not that he's a cheapskate. This person just doesn't. He's not on top of things.
Not on top of things.
Mm-mm.
I don't know. No guesses.
No guesses? Come on.
ZT, is he paid yet?
ZT, yeah. All right, so we're gonna go to ZB for his low score chug of week 1.
I can't tell you how thrilled I am that the quarterback that I've hated my entire life, and I finally decided to draft for God knows what reason, for the first time began to believe in Western medicine just 4 plays into his supposed new career. The toll has to be paid, I understand that. I actually have not had any drinks in my house for a while, but my fiance was in Pittsburgh this last weekend and got my favorite drink, which you can't get out here in California. So as added penalty for my late chug, it's a blue and not a white. So I actually want to enjoy half of this. Last place by less than 1/4 of a point. You're welcome, Tasia.
That's one of the best chug videos we've ever had.
His production-wise blew everything out of the water. I didn't expect that at all.
Well, yeah. So when he texted me that, it was last night. He texted me that, and I get the video and I see Rod. I'm like, yeah, I've seen this fucking the American flag, him running it out millions of times already. I don't need to watch that again. But then then it continued. I was like, oh, this is really good.
That's fantastic.
So A+ with the low score chug.
Yeah.
And A+ picking up Kirk Cousins this week too. So good moves from a guy who had Aaron Rodgers, and that's the thing too. Rodgers and Kirk Cousins, if you look at the preseason rankings, weren't even that far off from each other. So actually, that's pretty good. You're gonna have a QB situation. Kirk Cousins in a year where he's playing for next year for his next team, and he's looking the part. Look, week 2. His numbers were insane. Obviously, playing against you, but that's a great. His season's no longer in doubt. Before the Kirk Cousins pickup, this guy's talking to me about Bryce Young for the rest of the year. I'm like, dude, if you're starting Bryce Young for the rest of the year, man, you may as well get your set your reservations for IHOP right now, dude, because let's get it over with right now because Bryce Young was not going to get the trick done. But hey, Kirk Cousins, big time get for our new guy, our rookie ZB.
Yeah, I kind of wish he started Bryce Young. I think he should have put the rookie out there. Have faith in your guys, No need to go picking people up on waivers, but. No, I agree. Great pickup. It's kind of. I thought Rodgers was going to have a good season, but like you said, rankings wise, Cousins was right there. He has amazing weapons on that team. So yeah. And
he can thank Paul for that one, and then I guess really, if you think about it, he can thank Barry for this because a lot of people are saying that Paul's mishaps on the wire. It's because of Marcus Berry owing him money. And with that, we're going to go take our first commercial break. This is brought to you by Marcus Berry Fitness. It's back. A lot of people thought it was gone, but somehow it came back. A new advertisement was posted last week. If you have Marcus Berry's number and if he's not on airplane mode, he'll get back to you. Hit up Marcus Berry Fitness if you want to get in shape for this Halloween season coming up. You want to get in your costume, you want to look big and buff. Marcus Berry Fitness is your guy. And here's a little Marcus Berry Fitness, a short little teaser for you guys. Hey, Marcus Berry Fitness, guys, give him a call. Production's obviously gone down with Marcus Berry videos. I don't know. I think he got rid of his media team. But yeah, that's Marcus Berry in 2023, guys. Pretty good content.
Pretty fantastic.
I don't know what else he's got in store for us, but I've seen a couple photos of him just doing pull-ups. So if you want to get fit for Halloween, Marcus Berry Fitness is your guy. All right, we're going to go to week 2 preview. And of course, we're going to end the show with our usual Pancake King rankings. So Cobb, do the honors. We'll go you and me back and forth. So you got the first matchup here. Okay, yeah, so I'm not doing my team. We'll do matchup of the week at 6 versus 5. It's Barry's pickup lines versus Matty Ice. Go over that preview. Big game, probably the biggest game of the weekend.
Big game. This is definitely a primetime worthy game. We got 2 of the better teams in the last couple of years at least. Going head to head, kind of little bit of a rivalry going between the 2 teams for sure. Both have high projections going into the game. Obviously, Hodge had some players in that Thursday night game, mainly Justin Jefferson, who's been off to a great start this year without getting a touchdown still, which is crazy. But yeah, let's just go position by position, going with between Hodge and Dash. So we have Mahomes versus Fields. Fields looked awful last week, and that whole offense. I know there was a lot of talk this offseason about how a lot of us weren't really buying Fields, buying the Bears offense. I don't think it's going to look that bad again. I think he's still going to have a decent season or a good fantasy season. But I mean, Mahomes against Jacksonville, I'm super excited to watch that game, mainly because I also do have Trevor Lawrence in a lot of leagues. But it's going to be a fun game. Hopefully, it's a shootout. Hopefully, it lives up to the hype. I'm going to give Mahomes the dub there. Debo Samuel versus Jefferson. I would have given it to Jefferson anyways. I think Debo can still, 22 is a lot, but we've seen Justin Jefferson put up way more than that. So it stinks, but you kind of expected that kind of punch coming into this. Saquon versus Derrick Henry. Oh man, dude, both of these teams didn't look great in week one. Against Arizona, though, I'm gonna have to give Saquon the edge there. Kelsey versus Ingram. Kelsey's supposed to play, I think.
Yep.
Well, I'm gonna have to give it to Kelsey. Key that you guys have a couple guys in this game. I knew you did, but it's key that Hodge also has a reason to watch this thing.
Well, dude, he drafted Kelsey for the reason of playing me. That was the only reason why he drafted him. He's a loser.
And you guys wish it would have been really funny if Kelsey missed this week when he was playing you. Would have been really ironic, but unfortunately, it doesn't look like it's going to shape out that way.
Nope.
Oh man, Jamar Chase versus Tony Pollard. Dallas looked really good last year, but they didn't. Or last week. But a lot of it didn't need to be on offense because that defense looked really good. Pollard still did pretty. Yeah, he got a 21 last week. Yeah, even with how good that defense did. So you've been saying he might be the RB1 overall this year. Off to a great start for that. Going against Jamar Chase, who had a very disappointing week one. But again, kind of similar to the Bears situation, I don't think the Bengals are going to look that bad offensively. Browns came out swinging, and they've kind of owned the Bengals lately. So, that's a tough one. Chase or Pollard? They're going against the Jets, and that's the toughest part. I might give man, dude. I give Chase a slight edge there. I mean, Baltimore's defense looked good too. I don't know. I might do that as a wash. That's pretty close. That's pretty close for me. Mostert against Mike Evans. I really like how Mike Evans looked last week. I wasn't super sold on the Buccaneers offense and like producing any guys, and they looked great in Chicago. Its defense just got eaten alive by Jordan Love and the Packers. And on the other hand, Mostert, I mean, I really like the Patriots, obviously, but I really like their defensive line. I don't think he's going to do a ton. I don't think that's how Miami's going to beat us. So I'm going to give Mike Evans the edge there. Key, you have DJ Moore, because if Justin Fields has a good week, I think it will be throwing to DJ Moore. So that's a key balancer if Fields ends up going off. You guys, that's funny that you both have the number one option for your quarterbacks.
Yeah, well, that was part of the reason why. So he obviously drafted Kelsey, and then like it was at the was that my first second round pick? It was my early second round pick, and like all the receivers had gone at that point. I was like, fuck. I was like, you know what? Like Hodge sitting right in front of me. I was like, you fuck this guy. I was like, he took Kelsey. I'm gonna go DJ Morrison in case whenever I play him, I can plug him in.
Oh yeah, no, it worked. I'm giving DJ Moore the edge there over Breece Hall. Breece looked awesome, but they're going against Dallas's defense. I mean, Dallas looked insane defensively last weekend, and I think the Jets are just going to get brutalized in this game. So it's not really going to be good, but overall, I think this game's living up to the hype. Both have high projections right now. Hodge obviously had the Jefferson 22, but his kicker also only got a 4, which is, not a huge, like there's a few points that you kind of save there with only getting a 4. Man, this is going to be a great game. I really don't like Mostert this week, and I don't like Breece Hall this week, and I don't like Fields. So I'm going to give Dash the win here, even though he's projected to lose. I'm giving him I'll do a 130 to 122 victory.
It's interesting because like I think I lost more of the head-to-heads than I won that.
The QB
that's very
difference.
seldom, actually.
Yeah, the QB difference, and it's the having it's and they came out of the last 2 flexes for me. So because I don't think you lose that far by positional or position wise, but yeah, be a good game.
Yeah, I think it'll be a great game. So the field Tampa Bay thing, interesting. Tampa Bay's defense looked really good last week against the Minnesota, and we saw what Minnesota did to Philly this week. So that's a good offense. And Tampa Bay's defense looked really good last week. I don't trust Fields. I almost didn't start DJ Moore because I think they're going to get blown out tomorrow. But I was like, you know what? If he were to have a good game, it'll be to that guy. So I'm going to go ahead and because they're sitting Chase Claypool this week. So like we'll just do that. Justin Jefferson could have had an even bigger game if he didn't fumble that ball on the goal line. They would have scored that touchdown. So I mean, but like it's gonna be a good game. I don't really like Mostert. This is where I thought Hodge did a really poor job in drafting. Outside of his like first round, he went really early with the handcuff rookie running backs, and I oftentimes criticize his drafts because he does do the rookie thing. And like, I don't really like the way he went with like going to get Tank Bigsby, going to get
Tank Bigsby looks bad.
He looks rough, and he's gonna be short yardage goal line back. I mean, and plus with the way they're feeding Etienne. But the one thing I will say, so like as far as the Mahomes versus Justin Fields matchup, obviously I think he's going to win that. But I think Mahomes is going to have a really big week this week. There's 2 numbers that I kind of for my own podcast I had like thing. So you look at his games following a loss. Mahomes is 13-3 over the 16 games. He eclipsed 3 touchdowns in 9 of those 16 games following a loss passing. 6 of the 16 games he exceeded 280 yards passing. So maybe not the yards aspect, but definitely the 3 touchdowns is huge. But also if you total it up, it's 4,467 yards, 42 touchdowns, 15 picks in games in total following a loss. On top of that, it's his first time Mahomes will be playing on his birthday since 2016 when Texas Tech played against Louisiana Tech. The Texas Tech won 59-45 that game. Mahomes had 507 total yards and 6 touchdowns that game. So I don't know if he's going to do that again, but it's birthday Patty. I mean, who knows what he can do. And also he'll have Kelsey back this week. So that's a big plus. But Hodge has him. But I do think Kelsey's coming off a knee injury, and I think he looks fine. I don't see them going 100% Kelsey reps this week. I think we're going to beat them handily. Not handily, but I think offense is going to look good enough, and I think he's going to be more of a decoy because having Kelsey just out there is going to make the defense go to him, like kind of keep an eye on him. And so I don't think we're going to feed him a lot. I think Tony's going to have a big game this week. A bounce back spot for him. And I think Sky Moore will have a bounce back spot too. But yeah, I think the difference in this game will be quarterback play. And I think Mahomes is going to have like a big 40 plus kind of week for Mahomes, especially coming out bouncing back off the loss. But yeah, I think I win 144-122. Hodge drops to 1-1. Yeah, I like that. I'm sure he loves that if he ever watches the show and he sees the response there. Okay. All right. So I'll do your matchup right now. We've already kind of talked about earlier on as far as the what Zach did. It's an interesting game too. I love the projection there. Jesus, 138-132. All right. So I have Cobb versus ZB. So ZB, like we said, down and out. Aaron Rodgers is hurt. He literally is not the low scorer last week. And he had a chance to beat Hodge had Rodgers played. Because I mean, look what Zach Wilson did. Even the short time throwing to Garrett Wilson in that end of that game. I mean, Rodgers could have had a really good game. But yeah, it didn't happen. And so Zach not only did loss, Zach was the low score low scorer of the week. But anyway, picks up Kirk Cousins, 39 right off the bat. I don't think Trevor Lawrence is even going to touch that. I think Trevor Lawrence maybe at best will get a 30 and still be a 10-point deficit from the quarterback spot. It's crazy because, I mean, there was a chance that he would start Bryce Young this week, and Kirk Cousins is on the waiver wire thanks to Paulie, thanks to Barry, actually. Then you got Garrett Wilson versus Calvin Ridley. There you go, the stack right there. You got your stack. I I don't think Cal Ridley's gonna have a big week this week. I think it's gonna be Evan Ingram's gonna step up, and I think Christian Kirk's gonna have a really good week this week from that Jacksonville game. So I do think, but here's the thing: I think he'll still have about 5 catches for like 50 yards, but I think he's gonna have a better game than Garrett Wilson. I just don't. I think Dallas is gonna stymie that Jets offense. So it's gonna be close because I don't think Ridley's gonna blow up. So I see like 10 to like a 6 right there on receivers between the two of them. So Cal Ridley slight edge, Etienne and Mixon. Give me Etienne. I think Etienne's going to have a big week. I did the numbers for that one, doing our betting show for my podcast this week. Etienne, I have him going over 57 yards, at least just 57 yards, not counting his touchdowns or whatnot. But Etienne, if you look at going back to last year's regular season, he's eclipsed 57 yards for the last 5 games. Obviously, he only eclipsed 18 carries 5 times last year. Already did it week 1 with Jacksonville. And the Chiefs, you go back to last year, they've allowed 57-plus yards from the running back 3 of the 4 last games, going back to last year's regular season. And obviously, DeMont had 74 yards rushing last week, and Gibbs had 42 yards rushing last week. So I think Etienne's going to have a big game. That's just running the ball. So, yeah, I'll give Etienne big-time edge over Mixon, actually. Hockenson, 23, Darren Waller, 8. I think he's not going to touch the 23 here, but Arizona is, if you look at last week and also last year, they're saying pretty much personnel as they had last year. They were the worst defense on play action last year. Play action, dumping the ball down at Darren Waller. And I think Darren Waller's done a good game as far as catches. I don't know if he'll eclipse 23, but I think Darren Waller's done a pretty good game. But I'll give a slight edge to Hockenson. Cooper, which you just told me might not play on Monday, so you're going to have to – I don't know. It was me personally. I'd probably look to put somebody in on that Monday night game now. I don't know. Do you have anybody else on Monday, like on your bench?
No, I don't think so.
You're going to have to make that move tomorrow morning then.
Yep.
Yeah, so I think Godwin can have a good game against Chicago. Chicago looked horrible last week. So I think anybody on that offense could do well. I don't know what your situation is going to be with Cooper. Since you're on right now, if Coopers doesn't play, who are you plugging in?
Probably Zay Flowers, right? The rookie.
Zay Flowers. It's tough to get a read on what Cincinnati's defense looks like because that game was such like a mess and like no one really blew up.
Yeah.
But yeah, I'll take Godwin over Zay Flowers if that's the case. And Amari Cooper, I think I would actually like Amari Cooper in this spot.
I was excited for it.
Yeah, it's too bad because Pittsburgh was awful last week against Ayuk and Debo. Olave, Rashad White, give me Olave. I'm really concerned about Rashad White because it looks like they're going to lean more on the passing game. And plus, Rashad White had like 30 yards last week against Minnesota, and Minnesota got dominated by DeAndre Swift. Like DeAndre Swift looked like Barry Sanders last week, so I don't really understand the Rashad White stuff. So yeah, I was a big Rashad White fan. I almost went heavy on Rashad White this year. I didn't get him in any league, and I'm now, based on what I saw against Minnesota, and then now what Minnesota gave up with Philly, I'm really happy I didn't touch Rashad White. So yeah, I'm gonna go Olave big time this week. Javonte Williams, Cook. That's tough. I'm probably gonna go slightly Cook on that one.
Okay. I'm probably putting Montgomery in. I kind of put Javonte in there to bump my projections up.
So D-Mont gets Seattle?
Yeah.
Interesting. I'll probably go D-Mont then. So they just swayed me there. All in all, I think it's going to be a really close game. If ZB does win, it's going to be because the point differential between the quarterbacks. But it's huge that you had his stack and he has your stack, so that's funny. Yeah, I think you win, but I'm gonna think it's barely like 5 to 4 points. So yeah, 135 to 131.
Yeah, I would have been pretty confident coming into this game if Kirk Cousins hadn't dropped to 40. Again, pretty bummed about that. I did have Hockenson, thankfully, and if he had a healthy Rodgers, I would have had Wilson. So we both we have each other's stacks.
I like that. I like stack stealing.
Yeah. I mean, my team was looking a lot better last week before the Rodgers injury. Garrett Wilson was a guy I was really heavily relying on to be one of like the main staples in my starting lineup. And now that could be up in the air depending on how Zach Wilson looks or whoever they bring in. I'm very worried about him against Dallas. It's hard to bench the talent, but I could 100% seeing this being a game where he gets like, I don't know, like 3 catches for like 17 yards or something like that. So that worries me a little bit. And then obviously the Amari news today coming out that he might not play, and the fact that it's on a Monday night. I'm just kind of stumbling into this matchup in kind of rough shape with the matchups this week and the injury news and everything. I think Jacksonville KC is going to be a shootout. And I think Lawrence has it in him. Maybe not to get a 40, but I could see him getting a 30, and it would be fantastic to kind of neutralize the Cousins a little bit. It's really going to come down to that game, depending on how Lawrence and Ridley both do. If Ridley's the only guy that Lawrence looks at, I think ZB is going to win this game. If, like you said, he goes more Ingram and Kirk, and you guys kind of try to take away Ridley, then I think I win. Just based off of the projections with the four, I think ZB is going to slightly edge me out this week. Again, just it's easy to make that choice after the Thursday game. I think the projections are pretty close at the moment. I'm going to go a little lower. I'll go 131 to 121.
ZB.
Yeah, ZB.
So, I mean, yeah, 'cause that's the thing. Because even factoring in Lawrence getting a 30, that's still a 9-point gap from the quarterback position, which in your projection right there, that's 10 points right there.
These guys are making me because I had Roden last week and I had ZB this week, and I ranked them both bottom 3. So kind of they're coming at me.
It's tough being the Cobb and Dash show, the hot take. The hot takes they come back to bite you. All right, so you get the next matchup. This is between our high score from last week and our guy Stu, who's hurting.
Yeah, Stu is hurting.
Big time. He needs to be placed in the IR.
Stu's IR spots. There we go. Stu's in rough shape. Obviously, Jacoby Myers is out. Deontay Johnson is still marked as doubtful, despite people, which is super annoying because I have him in another league and can't just put him in the IR spot. And Puka Nacua was hurt. He's gonna play, but he had some injury news. So Stu named his team Cobb's IR spot. He brought all the bad juju over there. But with that being said, he did have a really good Thursday night performance with his guys. Adam kind of stole a stack, but Stu had stack B with the Eagles with Devonta Smith.
I think that is the stack now. I think I'm changing it. It's no longer B. It's the.
That's big news. But I've been a huge Devonta Smith fan, and it was great to see. I mean, he had 4 receptions. But I mean, he looks great, especially because I think a lot of teams focus in on AJ Brown a lot. Obviously disappointing for Adam to just come out of that game. That was such a high scoring game with just a 5 or a 6 from AJ Brown. AJ Brown and Jalen Hurts got into it a little bit. We'll see if that means anything.
It's not
going
good.
Forward. But kind of going at the head-to-head, obviously Tua had the awesome game last week. Chargers defense, I think, is a lot worse than New England's defense, and we kind of neutralized Jalen Hurts last week despite the rain. So I don't think Tua's in line for a big game. So I would have given Jalen the edge anyways. I'm definitely giving it now with the 27. Keenan Allen, AJ Brown. I would have given AJ Brown the edge here, but with him only getting a 6, I'm going to give it to Keenan. Miles Sanders versus Christian McCaffrey. I'm going to go Christian McCaffrey. You can't not choose him. And he balled out week 1. Miles Sanders looked okay. The Panthers they're going to figure it out. I think he only got like a 10 last week anyways. So I'm going to Christian McCaffrey, easy choice there. Laporta versus Okonkwo. I'm going to give it to Laporta because it seemed like Goff was zeroed in on him.
Yep.
Especially first game as a rookie tight end, getting 5 targets was great to see. Stu was a big fan of that. So we'll give Laporta the slight edge there. I do like Okonkwo a lot, but again, there's such a limiting passing upside with that Tennessee offense. Aaron Jones versus Devonta Smith. I probably would have given this a wash going in based off I wasn't big on Aaron Jones this year, but he looked awesome.
He did.
Week 1, he dominated, and it was great. It's good for him to see that he can still do that. It did. I hadn't been updated on his injury though. I know he hurt his.
He missed practice Friday, but apparently he's going to give it a go.
Yeah, and, I mean, Adam doesn't have the best back replacements for him. I mean, if Tony, but it's a very risky. Pickens.
I honestly don't think it's a risky pick. I actually love Tony a lot. If he asked me, I would say Tony 100%, but not gonna.
Yeah, I mean, either way, Devonta Smith.
Yeah.
Puka Nacua versus Drake London, who had the goose egg last week. I have Drake London in my other keeper league, and it was just brutal to see, especially because Drake London looked really good at the end of the year, and that was still Desmond Ridder passing him the ball.
Yeah.
But then there came out saying, like, we're going to do whatever wins the game. I don't think they're going to win games by running it that much like they did and not passing to Drake London. I think this will be a game where they'll have to pass going against Green Bay. But I mean, San Francisco's defense really good. I don't know, man. This is Puka looked good. I mean, 15 targets is 15 targets. I guess I had to go based off of week one. I had to go Puka slightly, assuming he plays. I think he's coming in questionable, but I hope Drake London has a bounce back game. I think he will, but I think that's just me being hopeful. But I'm going to go Puka there. James Conner versus Dotson. I mean, I guess James Conner. This is a very boring matchup. But against the Giants, I mean, Tony Pollard tore him apart. The Giants defense last week, but they didn't really have to do much. And I mean, James Conner still performed against Washington, and we know their D-line's solid. So yeah. I'm going to go James Conner there. So I have Stu winning this game. I was going to say pretty handily, and I think the projections are right around where I was going to go. I was going to go Stu 125 to Adams 110.
Yeah, I think Stu wins. I will say, man, it's very. I know it's a very weird year with injuries, but looking at some of these teams second and third flexes, I'm like, people are high on Drake London. So I'm not knocking Drake London. I'm not until they fix that quarterback situation. I don't think Desmond Ridder is good at all. I was listening to a bunch of podcasts this week. Some guys are saying they talked to NFL scouts and executives, and they think that Desmond Ridder is just awful. If you watch the All-22 film, he just missing wide open guys left and right. I think Kyle Pitts, there's a clip of Kyle Pitts being wide open, he shook his cornerback, and he's doing this, dude, just completely wide open. I think he took a sack or threw it away or something just awful. But yeah, I was looking at it. Nacua, dude, I get that he has two guys who are hurt, but Nakua's a guy you just pick up, and I got that guy on my bench last spot. I spent $15 on him for at least for a few weeks. Not right out the gate to start him the following week. I mean, it's just not get 15 targets is 15 targets, but as crazy as that is, Nacua is a better start than Drake London is, which is just funny. James Conner, we talked about in the offseason. I think it was one of those guys you're not really happy to draft, but based on volume, it's a good guy to get, and he's going to get a lot of touches in that offense. But yeah, I don't even think it's a question. I think Stu blows him out.
Stu has Tyler Lockett on his bench too. I mean, I know he had a stinker last week, but
still, dude, they're playing Detroit. I mean, I don't in a dome too.
Yeah.
They came off a really horrible game last week, and they're playing in a dome. I love the Seattle Seahawks guys this week.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I agree. Stu wins just because the performance that he had on Thursday. Still interesting though. Devonta Smith had a really good game, but only 4 targets. That's wild to me.
Yeah,
but they ran.
DeAndre Swift was eating last night, so.
Tage actually texted me saying, "You think I could trade DeAndre Swift for a haul right now?" I was like, I mean, probably. And there might be somebody in the league who may want to do it. Ooh. If CP was still in the league, he might want to do it. Yeah, but yeah, I agree. Stu wins 125 to 110. I'm not really buying Adams' team. I know he had a big week 1. It's always funny that the teams that rack up these high point scores, but they're not actually good teams. They have one guy who just blows up for them. Yeah. Okay, so now we're gonna go. I'm gonna do Alex Barry's last wish versus Rent's due first of the month. We got Barry on Barry, the first Barry on Barry game of the week, actually, or the season. No, we had it last week. I had Alex last week, but.
First new Barry names, at least.
I do like the new Barry names for sure. And I was actually just got a text from Paul. Paul, rent's due first of the month, man. That name gets more and more real each time I look at my phone. Just just going to read the last, because everyone knows that Paul pretty much made it known at the draft that Barry has not paid him for his last month of rent, and that was almost a month ago, and it still stands. He's not paid him his rent. Yeah, Paul wants an apology at least from the guy. He's ducking him. Paul said some contrition would be nice too. In the meantime, if you're not going to pay me, haven't heard an apology from you yet. That's fantastic. It's true though. I mean, like, geez, if you're not going to pay somebody, it's been 2 months.
Yeah,
at least apologize. My God.
He never seems to be remorseful, which is part of it.
Yeah, which is interesting from a guy who, like, you know, they could be like who at one point, like, comes off as like a nice guy, but like, dude, like, can't be dumb enough to not apologize. That being dumb doesn't help you with that, but whatever. Let's go back to the fantasy aspect. So rents due first of the month. I'll tell you what though, Paul coming into this game, forget matchups on the players that he had. That guy's got a lot of fire right now, and he's gonna do whatever it takes to win. So right away, I'm already on Paul's side for this matchup. I'm laying with Paul in this one. Alex could have to go for his second year in a row. He might have to tank again because there's a chance he might go 0-2 to start out the season. But anyway, Joe Burrow against Baltimore, Justin Herbert against Tennessee. Give me Joe Burrow versus Baltimore. I think Cincinnati's going to bounce back at home this week. Baltimore's without their starting safety, and one of their cornerbacks is out this game. So, like, I could see a big-time game from Cincinnati. That's why I didn't really fight you on the whole Jamar Chase, Tony Pollard thing. I think they're going to have a big week this week. Tennessee's defense, really good defense. The way that money looks, and if you look at the over-under of that game, it's not that high scoring of a game. They shut down the Saints offense pretty well last week. So, yeah, I'm going to take Burrow big time. T. Higgins, Baltimore, Ayuk, Rams. Give me Ayuk against the Rams big time. Although I think T. Higgins will have a better game than he had last week, but still, there's something in the water there with that whole they're moving on without T. Higgins. They don't really see him in the future. I do think that plays a part in the way these guys play with each other, especially at least T. Higgins. But Ayuk, big-time game this week. Looked great last week and have to continue it this week. Jacobs versus Buffalo or Nick Chubb versus Pittsburgh. Give me Nick Chubb against Pittsburgh. That Pittsburgh defense is shitty, awful. They're going to kill him this week. Buffalo's going to have a really big game, bounce back from their loss on Monday, I think. And they really didn't – we saw that one big run, but, like, you take away that, like, long 80-yard run, they didn't really have that big of a game last week against Buffalo. Looking at running the ball, at least. Goddard, Andrews. If Andrews is playing, Andrews is always a star. Lamar's number one receiver. I don't care what kind of offense they run. That's his guy. So Mark Andrews, if he plays, will surpass the 7. Bijan, Metcalf. I'll take Bijan against Green Bay. Algier. Whoa. He's starting Algier and Bijan? Dude. Wow.
What?
Okay. I mean, it's not like
Eckler's out.
Dude, and Zach Moss. Oh, dude, this game's over. I'm gonna scratch, and I love that Paul has Eckler's backup. I'm gonna take Paul. I'm not even like gonna look at the and I love it. Bijan, Algier, and then Mike Williams and Josh Kelly on the other side. These guys are just like stacking with like stacks over here. Yeah, I'm gonna take Paul to win, even though I don't think Tennessee Chargers have a big game this week. I like his matchups enough to put me over that. Alex is very he doesn't like when you start the quarterback and a running back of a team together because he says it's an anti-stack. I don't like when you start 2 running backs on the same team together because that's an anti whatever the fuck that is. But yeah, I'm going Paul this week, and I think Paul wins big. I think Alex goes 0-2, and I think Alex may have to rethink the strategy of tanking because it obviously didn't work last year, and it doesn't look like it's working so far for this year. So yeah, give me Paul.
Yeah, I'm gonna have Paul winning this as well. I think T. Higgins is gonna have a bounce back game. I think it'll be good. I think he's gonna score. I mean, he had a lot of targets. He just didn't. Nothing was catchable.
Yeah.
But yeah, I get the hype around wanting to, like, because they both had big weeks, but starting 2 running backs in that backfield, like even when there were 2 startable guys in the backfield, I don't think I've ever seen someone start 2 running backs. Again, both good, very questionable, but I get that he's missing Eckler this week. It is funny that Paul notoriously has people's handcuffs, is already able to get use out of that. I was texting with him earlier this week about some trades, and he was like really amped about having Josh Kelly with the Eckler news. So it's great to see that's paying off. But yeah, I think Paul wins this one. I think it'll be close. I think the projections are pretty good, but yeah, pretty much in complete agreement with how you broke it down.
Yeah, I honestly, as I was reading it, that's when I first saw Alex's lineups. I went from Bijan and I saw Algier. Like, wait, what? Poor kid.
He doesn't really have great options to replace him either.
Which is pathetic because if you tanked last year and like raped like 2 teams for draft picks and like that's your bench, come on, dude. Like, I get he went for top heavy guys, but dude, you kind of need depth in this league. Yeah. Especially with the way things are going. I think depth, like we talked about in the past, like I think we've heard the arguments before, like, oh, dude, I don't like having too much depth because I have 2 guys that can't even start every week. It's like, well, based on the way the trajectory of going of the injuries, because I've never seen this amount of injuries this early on in the season, like teams just not healthy. Like depth's huge, man. It's really big, and we're starting to see right now why it's such a big priority, and people should take it more seriously. Look at my team, and they'd be like, yeah, that's the model.
That's it. Look at my team.
Just look at it. You know, I have key guys on my bench, and people are dying for guys. I got guys coming off the IR in a week or two. Your boy.
Ooh, I got guys too.
Ooh. Yeah, well, I think it's why you and I liked our team so much because we do have depth. We have like guys on our roster, like people can like they'll start. You get top teams.
That's the thing. Like I like being able to have options of like Garrett Wilson. Like it sucks that he's gonna not be nearly as good as he should have been. But like Zay Flowers looked great. David Montgomery looked good. Have some other guy like Nico Collins even. I don't know. Not that I'm bragging about Nico Collins, but like that's like the bottom of my bench. It's key.
No, I agree. Depth's huge, and people try to package them like 2 guys for one. It's like, dude, like keep the guys you have in your team. Like, give yourself options, help yourself out.
Yeah.
But people just like the big names. Okay, so now we got Sac City Inc. Dave Roden, 2 guys who shocked the world last week. No one thought they'd be in the top 6. But here they are. Here we are, Cobb. We have Dave versus Yaglu, Sac City Inc. versus Under New Management. 2 awful names. Probably the 2 worst names in the league.
I will say, though, Roden announced Sac City, and then he won because of Sac City. So I texted him and said, like, it was a great way to ring in the new team name. Unfortunate for me, but, you know, it was key. Key for him. Let's just go matchup to matchup. Like you said, Yaglu, very impressed that he won last week. Tiger Kill went nuclear, which helps a lot. But his starting run, well, let's go matchup to matchup first. So Josh Allen, Sean Watson, give me Josh Allen. I think Josh Allen bounces back, like you said. And you saw he looked terrible, but in the same vein, like he was only looking at Diggs, and Diggs was always open, always getting the ball. And having that, like I said in the beginning of the season, it's super valuable stack, and it's going to win him weeks. And it helped win him last week, like already. So I think already those 2 put him ahead of Yaglu. Tiger Kill against Diggs. We are pretty good at neutralizing guys, and I think Tiger Kill is going to be a focus. I'm gonna give this a wash just because I think you can only do so much against Tyreek. But like both should have good games. I kind of give right now. I'm giving Roden the edge because he has that stack, and this is where we get into some interesting matchups. So we have Jamal Williams against Cam Akers. Yaglu obviously didn't have a lot of draft picks, neither did Roden, and for Cam Akers to be his guy, his starting running back that he has to rely on, is absolutely brutal based off of what we saw last week. Back in the doghouse or something. Kyron Williams got all of the work, looked really good, and he's not on Yaglu's team. So it's brutal to see. I think his running back situation needs to get figured out somehow. I don't know how it's going to get figured out, but I'm going to give Jamal Williams the edge there. Carolina, we just saw Bijan and Algier tear up that team last week. Jamal didn't look that good last week, but he did better than Cam Akers still. So I'll give the edge to Williams. Cole Kmet versus Kincaid. I don't actually know how Kmet did. Kmet actually did pretty decent last week. I'm going to give that a wash. I think they're both going to be single-digit guys, but 6 to 7 range. Waddle against Devontae Adams. Oh, man. One of these guys it's either going to be Tyreek Hill or Waddle that's going to beat us on Sunday night. And that's probably going to come down to who wins. It's like dependent on which receiver goes off is going to really dictate this game. Devontae Adams and Waddle both had 10s last week. They both looked okay. I'm going to give Devontae Adams the slight edge just because he's the lead guy. But I wouldn't be surprised if Waddle, like if we shut down Tyreek and Waddle's the guy that like kind of beats us alive. He's just getting a bunch of chunk plays. Zay Jones versus Jerry Jeudy. Jerry Judy's first game back up a hamstring. I don't think they're going to put him at 100%, kind of like what you were saying with Kelsey. I don't think they're going to rush him into anything. It's something that could be re-injured. I think he's going to be the number one receiver, but I just don't think he's going to be that guy this week. Zay Jones looked really good week 1, and he looked good at the end of last season. But like you said, I'm kind of on your side of like, I think Kirk is going to have a game. I think he's going to get more involved. He's not going to be like, I think he's only on the field for like 63% of the offensive snaps or something like that. He was like 3rd or 4th. So I'll give Jeudy the slight edge just because he is the number one. But I wouldn't be surprised if Zay Jones outscores him because of how Judy's usage. But I'm giving Roden the win here. It all really just comes down to the Josh Allen, Stephon Diggs stack. I don't think Yags around his receivers really has enough playmakers to take these games away like he did in week 1.
Yeah, I mean, who knows? I mean, Tyreek Hill could blow up. I mean, he is one of those guys who can blow up at any certain point. But yeah, I looked at the game logs last year against the Patriots. So week 1, Tyreek Hill had 8 catches for 94 yards, no touchdowns. Week 1, Waddle had 4 catches for 69 yards and a touchdown. Week 1. The next time they played, you guys pretty much shut both of them down. Tyreek had 4 for 55 and Waddle had 3 for 52. So they combined for 7 for 107 that game. So yeah, I mean, maybe first game too. It was the first game. The week 1 was the first game of the whole McDaniels era. So like maybe they were still trying to figure out what was going on. But I think week 2 is more of what you can model. I think off of. It's in New England or is it in Miami?
It's in New England.
That's interesting. I think. I don't see. I could see Allen and Diggs having a big week, especially with the whole drama that happened ensuing after the game with Buffalo. The whole Diggs was yelling at Allen on the sidelines, and then you have the Buffalo Bills reporter, like the team reporter, dogging Diggs. I could see him just kind of bouncing back, having a really big week. Although Diggs didn't really have a bad game last week. I mean, he got a lot of catches. But yeah, I think totality. I think Jaguars got a shot. I don't think it's a blowout by any means, but I do think that Roden has more firepower this week. Yeah. So I'll go Roden, but a slight one, 135 to 128.
Wow. I guess I didn't give a score. I was going to go like 112 to 101.
Interesting. Yeah, I think there's too many guys. There's too many home run hitters on this team for it to be a low scoring like that. Because you look at it, there's a lot of star power in this game, which is surprising.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I agree with you that Roden wins at least. The next one, okay, yeah, I already did that one, right? ZT, you and Zach.
Yep.
It's the last one now, right?
Yep.
All right. So Tasia versus pretty nice projected score there, guys. Tasia versus ZT. Two of the highest IQ b-ball guys when we play pickup. It's pretty big game right here. 2 big time know-it-alls when it comes to fantasy as well. So yeah, Dak versus New York and Lamar Jackson versus Cincinnati. Dak versus New York. That's a tough one, man. Yeah, I'll go Lamar versus Cincinnati. I think Lamar will have a bounce back game and he'll have a pretty solid game. He'll win. CeeDee Lamb, St. Brown. St. Brown. Kenneth Walker, Stevenson. That's a tough one. I'm gonna go. I think it's a wash. I think it's a wash. But I do. Stevenson could have a big game with the way Chargers looked. With the way Eckler looked against Miami's run D. I mean, Miami's defense looked awful, running the ball and as far as passing the ball, stopping the run and the pass. And since San Diego more so looked bad against the pass last week. But Kittle, Musgrave, Madison 5, McLaurin. I think McLaurin can surpass a 5, but we'll see. I think if he does surpass, it'll be close. I don't think he's in a big game by any means. Dameon Pierce against this Michael Pittman. Man. I'll go with Dameon Pierce because Etienne had a really big game against him running the ball last week. So I'll give it to Pierce. Hopkins and Gibbs. Hopkins might not even play, I don't think. Yeah, I actually texted I texted Tasia on Thursday. I was like, dude, why don't you have Swift in the game? Because you should have Swift over Hopkins, because Hopkins at that point hadn't practiced all week, and he really had nobody else he could really plug in at that point. I mean, Swift or Michael Thomas. Yeah, and then he got mad at me. He was like, "What? Wait, what? You predicted you get to a 30, huh?" I was like, "No, I was just saying I think
I like Swift that game."
Yeah. Well, it looks like Swift's gonna be locked in as a starter for the rest of the season after this one. But yeah, and Gibbs and Hopkins. We first get the elephant out of the room. I think what we're looking at right here, one of these guys is gonna be the lowest point scorer of the week. Whoever loses this game is gonna be the lowest point scorer of the week. And I honestly, if we get bet on this stuff, I would bet $100 on that the lowest point scorer comes from this game. This is pathetic. And then Gibbs and Hopkins. Yeah, I'll take Gibbs over whoever he starts at the Hopkins spot. I think he'll probably go Michael Thomas. Yeah, I think ZT wins 104-96.
Yeah, I have ZT in this game too. I don't think it'll be that low scoring, but it doesn't look great. That's for sure. I mean, really, unfortunate for Tasia for Madison. I've never been a Madison guy, and that kind of just further proves my reasoning for it. But yeah, hopefully it's not a thing where ZT barely wins and Tasia could have just started because of the not starting Swift.
It's rough when that happens.
Yeah, it's rough. There was something I actually forgot to talk about. ZT got to get that. This is a little off topic, but ZT texted me last night. He said, is your fantasy team, my fantasy team name, which is ZT's Crystal Ball. He said, is your fantasy team name a Third Eye Blind reference? Because they have a song called Crystal Baller. And I was like, no, dude, it's I don't know. I even had a Facebook post about it. It's not we always talk about to ZT about him always, being a future seer and teller with his team.
Yeah. And
his girlfriend's name is Crystal. And he thought it was a Third Eye Blind reference. Forgot to bring that up. Wanted to bring it up. Funny stuff, but I have ZT. Despite that, I have ZT winning this one. I'm gonna give him a little higher score. I'll give him a 112 to 106 win, which is pretty close to what the projection is.
ZT, man, he's
something.
He's something else, dude. No one in their right mind is that big of a Third Eye Blind fan, other than Semi Charmed Life and what's the other song? They're
is it Jumper or something?
Jumper. Yeah, those two. No one else. Those are the only two songs I know by Third Eye Blind. No one's that big of a fan. Crystal Ball, what? And it's secondly, that coming off the heels of his whole going Dutch thing the other day, which no one in the fucking world knows what he was talking about. He's like, "Oh, I thought it was the scientific experiment." That's what I looked up, and that's what I thought it was. Wait, that's what you looked up? That's what you thought it was, dude? Come on. And also, contextually, listen to the conversation we're having. Going Dutch? Yeah, I'm talking about fucking a scientific experiment with hemoglobins and shit. What's he talking about? Something else, man.
Yeah. I also like my team logo. One, it has ZT in it. ZT, and my logo is literally ZT as a fortune teller. So,
yeah. He misses the context of a lot of things, and it's funny because he's a guy who explains his raps to people. Dude, okay, you shouldn't be explaining anything to anybody, okay? Because you miss the point of a lot of things. Maybe that's what it is. Maybe because he misses the point so much, maybe he thinks that people don't really get things, so he has to explain it. That probably actually makes sense now. And then now that I'm actually thinking about it,
that's a good point.
He's a cute kid, man. I love that kid. All right, so now we're gonna go to the Pancake King rankings. And of course, this is sponsored by IHOP, home of the Stack. You guys can go to IHOP right now and get your pumpkin pancakes because the pumpkin pancakes are back. It's fall season. And of course, just go get a stack. Please get it on us. It's on the house. All right, so we're gonna go to the Pancake King rankings. We're only gonna do the bottom half of the league. We only do top half when it comes to when it's more clear. I love how we emphasize the bad. We don't emphasize the good. So we're gonna start with the 7th spot. I have at my 7th spot. I have here. I'm basing it off. God, this is tough. All right, so my 7th spot, I have. Do I want to do it now? All right,
It's tough.
it is tough because there's a lot of teams that are like I don't know. Okay, I'll say I have Adam at my 7th spot. I just don't think his team. You're starting Drake London, who it's an awful offense. I was never a fan of that. I know it was smart to not keep his first round pick open. But he was at the end of the first round. He could have probably just kept Derrick Henry, and that would have been better than going and keeping fucking this bum, Drake London, with the awful offense. And Jahan Dotson is his last flex. I am really not a big fan of starting guys like these are bye week starts, and we're in week 2 of the season. And I can honestly see him being a bottom half of the league, being in the Pancake King conversation. But since he won the high score last year, I have him in the 7th spot right now, just out of the playoffs. But I wouldn't be surprised if he's the Pancake King. I hope he's not because he's already done it once, maybe like an 11th seed or a 10th seed, but not 12th seed. I hope it's not the case for him. But yeah, I have him at my 7th spot right now.
Man, dude, there's a lot of competition for that 7th spot for me. I don't know. So I would have Adam here, but I think the Tua, AJ Brown, McCaffrey, Aaron Jones, like those are heavy hitters that are going to win you weeks when they start. This is probably going to be the biggest drop. I think I had this guy in the top 4 last week. I'm going to go Stu at 7 because of the injuries that he's had. He's off to a great start this week. He's also at the beach. Stu, have fun at the beach if you're watching this. Say hi to the fam. Have a good time. But it just looks, Miles Sanders starting running back. He's not going to, again, I'm not really huge on that Panthers offense. The Hurts Devonta Smith stack is great, but like you said, Devonta Smith only had a 19, which I guess was only because he only had 4 receptions, but he's not gonna. It seems like that's kind of his game, right? It's not gonna give to you 25 plus upside like AJ Brown does. He's kind of more of a 3 catches, 80 yards, a touchdown or 2, something like that. Devonta Smith, but I like that. It's just there's the injuries around Stu's teams just holding him back. Deontay Johnson being out for weeks. He was actually just declared out, so Stu can put him in the IR spot, but he already has someone in his IR spot with Jeff Wilson. And then relying on too many young guys like Laporta, Nakua. I don't know. It just doesn't do it for me. I think Stu can very easily bounce back once his team is healthy, but for right now with the injuries and his performance last week, he's 7 for me.
Yeah, I have him lower down in my rankings. We'll get to that. But yeah, I think a lot of these teams are so close. We're the badness is so bad that it's so close. You can really, we might not have anywhere close to where these teams are, but I think we'll still have the same. I think we'll still have the same 6, but I think we'll have a little bit of differences there. Okay, so my 8th spot here, I have ZT, Lamar Jackson, quarterback. I think he looked awful last week. I don't think that new offense is I think they're gonna have to go back to the old ways of doing things because I don't think they can sustain that all season. He punted tight end in the draft, and the tight end he drafted wasn't even a starting tight end in Denver, and he is out for the foreseeable future. And you got Luke Musgrave at the tight end spot. It's not the best. Gibbs, I think he'll be fine by the end of the season, but he looked good in the touches he got. Michael Pittman looked great last week. Hopefully that continues for him. McLaurin, but Amon-Ra St. Brown and Ramondre Stevenson are just saving grace here. I think Ramondre, he'll have a good second half of the season. We're just season in general. 12 in a bad week, I'd say. It's not bad. But Amon-Ra looked great, and Ramondre is saving grace. His depth blows, but I think those 2 guys are gonna keep him in conversation as far as being that fringe playoff team. But I have ZT in my 8th spot.
I also had ZT at 8. Going through this 5 through 8 or 9 for me were all could be replaced, like go back and forth. There's some guys that I probably have in my top 6 that I don't feel comfortable with them in my top 6, but they're there. So yeah, for this one, I have ZT. I think I bumped him down a little bit because he didn't get the team name somehow, despite all the talk around it. So that's ranking a little bit. I do like his starters. It's just the pieces need, like Ramondre. We had a lot of the usage with Zeke last week. It could have been because Ramondre was coming off of a stomach bug, but he looked good towards the end of the game, but he was getting destroyed up until then. Like, he did not look good. Amon-Ra, I think, will be fine. Lamar, I agree, didn't look good. I think he's gonna have a big year. I just off to a rough start. If it doesn't work out, ZT's done. Officially. But yeah, everything around that, like you have Luke Musgrave, McLaurin, Pittman, doesn't really do it for me. Gibbs, towards the end of the year, could be a certified like RB1. It's just he's not there yet. He should have had a touchdown last week. He didn't. He looked really good. They're clearly going to use Demont as well. It's not a home run hitting team, right? They're not going to have like huge weeks like some of these other teams do. So that's why ZT's at 8 for me.
So my 9 spot's interesting. This one, it's funny because like the guy didn't have a quarterback at the beginning of the week. It's CB's my 9 spot here. The picking up Kirk Cousins is going to be one of those things where it's like it saves him from being the worst team of the worst, because obviously Bryce Young. We're talking about Bryce Young or Kirk Cousins here. But the shining spots in the team is and again, all 3 of these teams I'm naming could easily be playoff teams. So that's why they're the fringe playoff spots. But yeah, ZB, Calvin Ridley, and Cook. I have him here because Calvin Ridley was a guy when he traded Burrow, and then he got Calvin Ridley, and I was like, dude, what the hell are you doing? But you got Calvin Ridley. He looked great, looked the part last week, looked at the wide receiver one everyone's been talking about, hyping him up. And then Cook, look at his numbers. He actually had pretty good numbers against the what do you call it last week? Against the Jets. Jets great defense. Almost 4 yards a carry, 4 catches. So he was kind of giving a mix of everything. I can't wait till he goes against kind of like a middle of the road defense. I think we'll actually see what he can do. And I think this week we'll see a little bit of what this kid can do. So with the fact that Ridley and Cook like look so solid, and then you have Kirk Cousins who the guy was dead in the water, scores a 40. That's insane. I think there's a shot that he can make the playoffs, but for me, there's so many question marks, and he also has Mixon, solid. He's got a shot to be like a playoff team, but I have him in my 9 spot. I think he's that much better than the bottom 3.
Yeah, he was not my 9, but close to it. At my 9, it's going to change because a guy on his bench went off, but it is very similar to ZT, and it's Tasia. They're playing this week. I think they're very close player wise. It's just don't have guys that I think are going to again, they're not a bad team by any means, but they're not a team that's going to like blow you out of the water or have potentials for like the 130s plus. Like that's like, I think every year we see ZT in like the 110s, 115s. That's like this looks like
clockwork.
Yeah. He's going to have, Taja's going to have big weeks because of the Dak CD stack. But how that defense looked, man, I don't know if they're going to really need it. And Pollard looked great. Like, I don't really know if they're going to need it. So, and then Madison looks bad. It's great that DeAndre Swift looks awesome. Hopefully, he'll continue to be a starter and like continue to rely on him because I do believe in the talent there. But other than that, it's just like the team around his main guys just doesn't really do it for me. And Hopkins is hurt. Damian Pierce looked okay week 1. Kittle looked all right. Kenneth Walker had a lot more work than I expected, though. I'll give him that. I thought Charb was going to be involved a little more. See, hopefully he stays healthy. That's the biggest thing. Again, can easily see Tasia in the playoffs. I don't see it right now. And I know he hates that because I always have him. But I was right last year.
You were. So I have Tasia. I'm not basing so much of this Dallas, and I think this week's going to be a wash. I think they're a 9-point favorite against the Jets, but I think the over/under for that game is like 31 points because it's 2 of the best defenses in the league. I think it's the lowest over/under for the week as far as total points. So really, this week and last week won't be indicative on what this Dallas offense could be. I think last week was just the shit show. It was awful weather, and like the Giants looked horrendous.
Aaron Jones officially out, by the way.
Wow.
or
All right.
likely to be out. So I
Okay.
would have put Adam in my. That's all right. Keep going.
Oh man. I have Aaron Jones in a league, so I'm gonna have to. Yikes.
Get on that.
Oh, it's the freaking auction league, or not dynasty league. Damn, not good. But yeah, I have Tage at the 10th spot, but I think DeAndre Swift. But you're subbing out DeAndre Swift for Alexander Madison, but then we talk about his bench. Does he go Michael Thomas over DeAndre Hopkins? We're talking about 2015 battles right there between D Hop and Michael Thomas, which would have been a great argument back in the day, but right now not so good. But yeah, I think Tage will be fighting for a playoff spot. I think again, I don't think his team's going to rely on Dallas, and I don't think this week coming up or last week's going to be indicative of what that offense could look like. But yeah, he's my 10th spot.
Yeah, my 10th spot. I have ZB, the guy I'm going against this week. It was rough that he lost Rodgers, but like you said, like being able to pick up and plug in Kirk Cousins like that for him to get a goddamn 40 is nice. And like I picked him to win this week, and the only reason I have him this low is just I don't think it's. I mean, we saw he was the lowest points this week. He projected to get a lot this week. It's just there's so much variability with how his team I think is going to perform. Outside of Calvin Ridley and maybe Mixon, I don't think there's a lot of consistency there. I was not a Rashad White fan going into the season. I think it looked brutal week one. Again, week one, a lot of things can change, a lot of weeks left. And, I think he has potential. It's just there's way too much variability. Like there's a group of ZT and Tasia where they're consistent, but they're not going to blow you out. I think ZB does have that potential to get a lot of points, but at the same time, he has the potential to completely bust. That's why I have him at 10. Yeah,
no, I agree with that. I mean, like I said, the 7 to 12 right now, like there's no clear. I think there is one clear guy actually. I think you and I based on so far. I think you and I are leading, trending the same way for our last spot. I think we'll see. So my 11th spot, I have Stu here. We kind of talked about it. Like you're starting Nakua, a guy who first off, we'll talk about injuries. Injuries doesn't help anybody when you have Lockett out, Deontay Johnson out, or not. Well, you're not starting Lockett, but Deontay and Jacoby Myers out. You're starting a rookie tight end who looked good last week, and I think offenses are going to check down to him a lot. But again, it's only 1 week, so we don't really know. But Nakua, that's the one that really drives me nuts. That's a guy who just you're not starting him right away. Just picked him up, that kind of thing. I mean, I think he drafted him or picked him up last week before his big blow up game. But it's one of those guys you don't start right away, and the fact he's already in his roster, and you're relying on James Conner, a team that blows, and played a great game last week, so they were able to run it a lot. It was kept it close. They're going to get blown out a lot, and James Conner's going to be gone. His career's done. Jalen Hurts does not look right. Running the ball 100 times a game. You're not going to be often. We're going to beat the ball at the 1 yard line. You can run touchdowns and take away those 2 rush touchdowns. We're talking about 11 right now for Jalen Hurts. So Jalen Hurts, we're talking about big time regression this year. We're already seeing that the last 2 weeks, not really looking the part offensively. Devontae Smith looked great, 4 targets. That's going to be a problem, especially when Jalen Hurts isn't looking good. And that's the one thing. If Hurts isn't looking good, it's going to affect Brown and Devontae Smith. So yeah, I don't like Stu's team. I don't like where it's going right now. He's going to win this week, I think, but I just don't like what I'm seeing as far as Jalen Hurts goes, because Stu's going to go the way Jalen Hurts goes. And right now, Jalen Hurts looks like a bum.
Yeah. I mean, I had Stu a little higher just because I do think he has the start. But yeah, I think it's rough shape. His team's in rough shape for sure. And I think he he wasn't really believing in his team. It didn't sound like. I think he rated himself in the bottom 4 or 5. But yeah, it's unfortunate where it's going. But he's named himself Cobb's our spot, and this is what he gets.
Yeah, you're fucking with the fantasy guys when you do that stuff.
Come on, buddy. We're on 11 now.
Yeah.
My 11. Now I'm interested to see where you're going, because I don't think we're going the same way. My 11 is the guy I lost to last week. I have Roden, and some of this is because I might have had the wrong number of people when we were voting, or going through these these standings. It's week 2. We're shaking off some rust. I'm going to go for it. I love Roden's keepers: Josh Allen, Diggs, Waddle. Awesome. Really like that. The supporting cast around that is a lot of question marks. Jamal Williams had the backfield to himself in New Orleans, only got a 6, and I think his usage is just going to keep going down with I'm completely blanking on the Kendre Miller coming back, and then Kamara is going to come back and take away. He's not going to be playable. Cole Kmet, I mean, with how that Bears offense looked, unless that gets changed, he's not again, the tight ends are pretty tough to come by, but I don't think he's that great. Brian Robinson, Washington looked rough. He got a 13, but a lot of that was because he got a touchdown last week. Zay Jones, we'll see what happens. Like if I really like Zay Jones, but they have Kirk, they have Ingram, they have Ridley, they have Etienne. They have just a lot of talent. So it's just a lot of guys that I don't think, outside of his top 3 guys with Allen, Diggs, and Waddle, that are going to be consistent there. Maybe JSN becomes that guy towards the end, but I'm not seeing a lot of guys on the bench that would also potentially fit in that spot. So I just don't really buy it. He had a great week 1. Congrats to him and his IDPs, but outside of that, I'm just not buying it.
Yeah, I got a feel for Dave. I have him in my top 6 though, because I value his top end talent that he has.
Yeah.
And defensively too. That's a part of that that's huge. That's really saving him. That was saving him at least 1 week. Okay, so my so yeah, and now we're gonna go to the granddaddy of them all, the real winner of the week, or the loser of the week so far. Our Pancake King.
You are the Pancake King, young and sweet, hunting fan of thieves. Ooh, see that boy, watch that taste, digging the Pancake King.
I love that song, man. And the thing is, it was last week we were at the bar, and that song came, the real song came on. And I was like, I started singing the Pancake King song. Once it gets in your head, man, you can't forget it.
Yeah.
All right. So the Pancake King for me is a guy who devoted after week 4 last year, went full in on the first ever tank in BL Plus history. He quit doing the Cobb and Dash show. He quit attending a lot of the functions that we have in general for a whole year. He pretty did. He's continued that. He went and tried to rape one of the just dumber owners in the league, and he did. And then he also, as soon as we replaced 2 new owners, he went and raped them for their goods. And he's about to start off the season 0-2. I think he's going to lose badly this week. He's starting 2 running backs from the same team on his roster right now. He's starting a backup running back, or technically the 3rd string running back on a team right now, where this is a bye week play, or when you have a million injuries. He only has 1 injury, and that was Austin Eckler. But he's going with a guy who I think he just picked up this week. I mean, it's really bad. So I'm going to Alex, if that wasn't clear by my reaction when I saw he was starting Algier and Bijan Robinson. I think Alex is on the cusp of going 0-2, going for a Pancake King. Because I think the fantasy guys are trying to correct something they missed last year. He wasn't the Pancake King, and he should have been the Pancake King. He should have been going to the IHOP. He should have been going buying those pumpkin pancakes we always talk about in the show, and he didn't. And I think they're going to correct the mistake that they allowed him to get away with last year, and they didn't like him trying to rape these new owners, and he did. And it's not going to work out for him. And I think Alex is the Pancake King for me, and I think it's going to be like this for a good portion of the season. So, yeah, I have Alex at my 12th spot.
I think it's a solid choice. He is not my Pancake King.
What?
Yeah, I thought that's when you said that.
Damn.
I know. So the way that I do the Pancake King rankings is where I think people are going to finish. Power rankings are a little different, where it could, at this week, Zach probably would have bottomed because he was lowest scorer, right?
Yeah.
I don't think Alex is going to finish last, because I think he had Joe Burrow, T. Higgins, Jacobs, Bijan, Eckler. I couldn't name 5. Those are all really good players. At least at the time, I'm buying into them being very good fantasy assets. I couldn't name, more than, I don't know, 4 or 5 other teams that have that kind of power in their starting lineup when healthy. That's why I don't have him in my bottom 6. But we'll see. I really I didn't notice the lineup until today as well. Starting 2 running backs from the same team is disgusting. Maybe it works out. Would have worked out last week. I think we're both kind of we're going to be watching that game.
Oh yeah.
Hoping it busts a little bit maybe. But my Pancake King, it hurts me because I'm going to be hanging out with this guy in a little bit. And I have all the faith. And again, it's just the cards that he was dealt with. I have Yags as my Pancake King. Had a great week 1, great introduction to the league. Well, his team had a great introduction to the league. His introduction to the league was a little shaky with that video. But his team did really good week 1. I'm just really worried about it with Deshaun Watson being the QB. I know it was a little rainy in Cincinnati. He still did decent. I'm still not, with other QBs in the league, I don't think he's in the top half or top, 7 or 8, in my opinion. His receivers are where he's going to win games like he did last week with Tyreek Hill, Devontae Adams. Now Jerry Jeudy coming back is great. And then Christian Watson, whenever he comes back, will be great. I'm just really worried about everything else. Cam Akers is a starting running back, which brutal. His other running back that he has is Kenneth Gainwell, who is hurt, and DeAndre Swift just probably took his job. I just don't. He's going to have to trade for a running back because you can't go on with literally like a 3 guaranteed every week in that running back spot. He's starting Treylon Burks right now. I don't really like Treylon Burks at all. Again, I get a lot of it's with injuries. I don't like that. Maybe Jordan Love is a quarterback that he can start eventually. Maybe he looks just as good as he did week 1 throughout the season, but it's just outside of his receivers, the supporting cast just does not do it for me at all. And until he makes a move, if he makes a move, I think he could bump up to a top 6 team because I'm very surprised with his receiver, like Jeudy, Adams, Watson, and Tyreek Hill. Those are all guys I'm sure tons of teams want and will give you something for. Just everything around the wide receiver position is a huge question mark for me for
Yeah, I totally see that. Maybe I'm hyping up the win that he had last week, and he was second or third highest scorer last week. So like maybe I'm like excited about what's to come with him. I'm rooting for him this week.
Yeah, absolutely.
But yeah, I can't knock you for that one. So we're gonna close out the show here with paying homage to the past. The BL Plus is our Barry's motivational squeeze. This is a segment where we give a quick kind of motivation to pick a team and give them some motivation going forward for a week, 2, and the rest of the season, really. But yeah, so this is Barry's motivational squeeze.
This is why you're fucking holding back, and I'm tired of the BS.
All right. So my motivational squeeze is to Paul. Paul, obviously, I kind of mentioned a little bit, Paul is in a back and forth legal battle, an unofficial legal battle with Marcus Berry to collect rent for the month of August. It's been 45 days since he's owed him $500. Paul's thinking about maybe charging him interest. I don't know if he's going to get that or just getting anything from him. But my advice is, Paul, don't let the outward noise affect fantasy. You dropped Kirk Cousins twice. And you allowed ZB to get a quarterback when he should be starting Bryce Young this week, or somebody else. But you gave him a top 12 top 15 quarterback in the league, because you're doing this thing with Barry. Just don't let the outside noise, a guy who quit the league, don't let him affect what you're doing on the field, and as a GM. So get your money from Barry, but don't let it affect what's going on in fantasy. All right. We're rooting for you. We will hope you get your money. The BL really condemns what our ex-owner is doing to you, and we don't stand for it. We're adamantly against it. That's why we kicked him out of the league. We did a lot of stuff to try to make him be more mature and grown up to pay you and pay his rent. And it's unfortunate that he didn't do that. It's unfortunate the way he's acting. We can't control what he's doing. He's no longer a BL Plus guy. But don't let it affect your play on the field. That's all. That's my motivational squeeze for you, buddy. Cobb, what's your motivational squeeze this week?
My motivational squeeze is for our good friend that we both had in the bottom 6. You had him a little lower. He's enjoying the beach right now. I'm glad he's getting out there, getting away from fantasy because his team's in rough shape. That's Stu Adams. Stu, we had faith that your team was going to be great. I think it still has potential to be great. I know you didn't really believe that coming into the season, and it's in rough shape right now. That's no denying that. But if you're able to run with the punches, you're in great shape to win this week. Then you'll be 1-1, even though you didn't score 90 points last week. I think you're going to bounce back. Puka Nacua could be the truth, could be the guy that you were looking for, hoping for. Deontay Johnson, you'll hopefully see him in 4 weeks, and you can maybe put him in the IR spot instead of Jeff Wilson. But yeah, Stu, you're a good owner. You have a lot of potential, as we've seen. I wouldn't hang your head up. Obviously, enjoy the beach, enjoy the water, the sand, the family, all of that. Come back completely refreshed and ready to rock the rest of the season.
It's really good. That's I couldn't say it any better right there, Cobb. It's why you're the co-host of the show. That's why you're amazing at what you do, and that's why we love you. That's great. Yeah, I think Stu really needs to be rest, recharge, and maybe punt this week. Maybe go 0-2 when he comes back next week. I think it's time for him to make some changes, and I think he will when he comes back from the beach. But anyway, that's it for us. I hope you guys enjoyed this episode. We didn't really see anybody come in on the live this week, but I know some of you were asking me when it was going to be up, and just be a nice way for you guys to watch before the games tomorrow, get a little acclimated with the league before the games tomorrow and listen to this. But yeah, hope you guys enjoy your Saturday. Yeah, we'll see you guys next week on the Cobb and Dash show. Good luck to you guys, and I will be texting whoever is the low score of the week to remind them I want to chug by at least Thursday or by the time we do a show next week. But anyway, have a good one, guys. See you, Cobb.
See ya.